All I know is they came running up and took over my team and sled. When I started to object, one of them shoved me in the snow, just like... Well, you see, what... Oh, it was them. It was the same two. Buck somebody and Red something or other. You mean Buck Acton and Red Benson? Yeah, that's the names Mike at the store called them. Somebody's coming.
Yes, I think it's just the man I want to see right now. Sergeant Preston. I thought that was you stopping out front.
Hello, George. What's happened?
Well, Sergeant, this way. Thanks, been robbed.
Quickly, the constable told Sergeant Preston what had happened. Preston listened closely. Then he turned to Casper and asked, Casper, are you sure they were Buck Acton and Red Benson?
Yep, I'm dead sure, Sergeant. I heard one of them say the name Red just after he shoved me. He laughed and said, just like before, up to his neck. I figure he was the one who shoved me the first time when I was going into the store.
I'll set out after them right away, George.
Oh, say fine, Sergeant. Do you want me to go along?
You might be needed here in town. Casper, you come along to identify them.
You mean me go to help capture them armed crooks?
That's right, Casper.
Well, all right, Sergeant. Anyway, I dasn't go home without the coffee and sugar. Bugler would swear I put the stuff on the sled and give a whole caboodle to them crooks just to spite her.
Well, let's get going. We're losing time. Come on, Bing. Meantime, Buck and Red were traveling at a fast pace along the trail. They were pleased when snow began to fall heavily, since it would make their trail difficult to follow. As they moved along, Red was saying,
The snow keeps from following our tracks, Buck. Yeah. We're lucky to run had a fast dog team. Yeah, but the storm will get worse. We're taking a big chance trying to go any distance. I know. Oh there. Oh. I think Red there. That little guy's name is Casper Mott. Has a cabin over on the other trail. Yeah, what of it? Well, his wife must be there alone. Hasn't got his dog team, so he'll have to stay in town till the storm lets up and he can get some way to get out here. Yeah, I still don't get the idea. The idea is that we take the branch trail and go over to his cabin. Nobody will think of looking for us there. Hey, I think that'll work, Buck. We'll have a good place to stay and we can make his wife cook for us till we leave. Now, come on, let's get going. The branch trail's only a short way from here. All right, mush your husband.
A short time later, Beulah Mott heard a dog team stopping outside the cabin.
Well, that must be Casper coming back from town. Can't be Casper.
Howdy, ma'am. Come on in, Red.
No, just a minute, mister.
Get out of our way.
Why, you're something. You'll be sorry when my husband comes home, and he'll be along in a minute.
Don't make it a half. Who's afraid of that little half bunny?
You know Casper?
Know him. I pitched him into the snowbank twice today. The fact is, we're using his dog team and sled.
Using his dog team?
Yeah.
See here, what have you done to my Casper? Where is he?
He's safe enough. Probably sitting around town waiting for the storm to let up. But if he does show up here, he won't be so safe, eh, Buck?
Well, you stole his team. You're a couple of thieves. I'll get the shotgun and...
Stay where you are.
A gun? Oh, here I am, just a poor, defenseless woman, alone with two desperate killers.
Oh, for the love of Pete, stop the sniveling.
Give me that gun.
Hey, Red, get this big lump away from me. I'll grab her arms. Here, I got her. Yeah, now that I see her, I pity that little mutt-cat. You tie her up and put her in the other room, Red. If she causes any more trouble, we'll use a bullet on her. And on that half-pint, too, when he does show up.
We'll continue our adventure in just a moment. Wow, fellas and girls, look it. Man, oh man, here's the strongest man I've ever seen. Looks like Hercules.
I am a descendant of Hercules.
Boy, how's it feel to be as strong as Hercules?
No different.
Gosh, I'll bet you eat a lot.
3 good meals a day.
Gee. What's your favorite meal?
Breakfast, naturally.
Breakfast, huh? Say, ever eat Quaker puffed rice or Quaker puffed wheat?
Do I? Every day.
Oh, you like rice or wheat shot from guns.
Nothing better.
Boy, you must be champion Quaker puffed rice and wheat eater.
If I am by the case.
What do you like best about them?
Oh, they're big. Like me. About 8 times no.
Some milk and... Anything else you like about Quaker puffed rice and Quaker puffed wheat?
That nut-like flavor. And they're good for you.
That's right. A fella like you needs plenty of food energy.
Look at it. There's nothing like Quaker Puff rice and Quaker.
The sweep the remaining games against the Habs, that they could reel them in, and so the games against the Canucks.
Had this theater, and Portnoy's complaint, and if anything, surprised me, given whatever preconceptions you bring to a meeting with Philip Roth, was his essential.
Some people also say it is one thing to come and gather news materials. It is another thing to write about it and to publish it. This is what...
that I got a good feeling from the imagery.
Riding in the sled had started in pursuit of the Crooks.
Don't see how you expect to trail them in this driving snow, Sergeant.
I can still see their tracks when we first started, but the snow's covering them up, Casper. This trail leads south to Beaver Creek.
I know. Reckon you'll have
How
to
are
push
you
on
making
till they reach there
footsteps,
anyhow.
Alex, on
There's no place to
snow?
hole up between Selkirk and there.
That's right. Even if they don't stop at Beaver Creek, at least we'll find out when they went through and what trail they took. Someone's sure to see them in that small settlement.
Yep, that's good figuring, Sergeant. Sure is.
Well, they'll reach there in an hour or so.
For a short time, the Mountie and Casper followed the trail. Then Casper pointed ahead.
Hey, look at there, Sergeant. King has turned and started along the branch trail just ahead. They wouldn't go that way.
King's following the trail from their scent, Casper. He knows what he's doing.
But there's nothing that way for them crooks. They'd be heading back to town that way.
Okay, hurry, Husky. Okay, hey, boy. Stay back here with me, fella. All right, on you, Husky.
Preston headed the dog team straight ahead along the trail to Beaver Creek. But when they passed the junction where the branch trail turned off, King left Preston's side and once again headed along the branch trail. The great dog ran a short distance and then stopped and looked back, barking. Sergeant Preston once more stopped the team.
King still insists on leading us along the branch trail, Casper. I feel sure he's right.
Dag nabbit, Sergeant, in a storm like this, that dog would be plenty wrong. And if he is, we'd lose good time. Stands to reason they wouldn't dare go back through Selkirk with everybody looking for it.
We'll follow King.
Well, I'll bet my dog team, when we get it back, along with anything else you name, that King Sniffer is going back on it. I know this time he's...
Casper, look, King's found something in the snow short way up the trail. Let's take a look.
All right, come on. Probably a dead varmint of some kind. Dogs is always fussing over things like that.
What is it, boy? What have you found? Huh? Look here, Casper.
They won't eat
Pile of coffee
somebody
beans in
dead.
the snow from that torn paper sack.
What? Oh, forget what I said about betting, Sergeant. That paper sack of coffee was on my sled. Must have fallen off.
That means they did take the branch trail. Good boy, King.
How are they going to make coffee?
Except it's a hood and the weather's too cold. You always said I didn't have as much sense as a dog. I apologize, King. Yes, sir.
Good for you, boy. Now, wait here, King. I'll get the team. Be with you in a minute, Casper.
King, if I had a dog like you at home, we could really rule the roost, huh, boy? He's bringing a sled. And from now on, I'm not going to say a word, King. You can lead the way.
As they moved along the branch trail, which curved back toward town, it wasn't long before the Mountie and his passenger were only a short distance from Casper's cabin. The thought that they'd soon pass his cabin struck Casper suddenly, and he called out,
Hey, Sergeant, wait! Hold on, stop a minute!
Okay, hurry, Husky. What's the matter, Casper? You sick?
Well, not exactly, but I just thought, Sergeant, that this trail goes right past our cabin.
Well, good. You can stop and tell your wife what happened. Find out she heard the other dog team pass.
Look, Sergeant, by some good luck, it seems you never got to meet me.
Why, no, I never did, Casper. Why?
But I wasn't so lucky. I did. Well, what I mean is, she'll blame me for it all. For losing the dog and sled, I mean.
I'll go in with you and explain.
Oh, you won't go in with me. You'll go in first. In that way, I'll still be sound of limb by the time she's convinced. I never could reason with a woman.
I'm sure she'll be reasonable about it after I explain. We better get going. All right, on,
5 minutes later, they were approaching Casper's cabin. King and the dog team had quieted down. The only sound was the crunching of the sled. Suddenly, a sound was borne to them on the wind that called Preston to halt the team once more.
Looking. You hear that, Casper?
Wow.
Listen.
Sounds like dogs up yonder near my cabin.
Yes, but all your dogs were stolen by those two.
See, that's right. But my dogs used to quarrel like that when they got home.
Casper, I have an idea those crooks have stopped at your cabin.
Holy smoke. And there's nobody to warn them about Beulah.
Now, hold on, Casper. This is serious. They may harm your wife. They just as soon shoot a woman as they would a man.
What? Jumping the juniper, I never thought of that. If they hurt my Beulah, I'll... Oh, great day, Sergeant. What can a little hombre like me do to protect his women folk anyway?
At least you have the right spirit, Casper.
Little Beulah said only this morning that other men look after their women. She gets in a downright sniveling mood when she thinks of it.
Casper, I have a plan that will make Beulah look on you as a protector, and at the same time help me capture those crooks. Are you game?
Sure I'm game. Just tell me your plan, and by cracky, if I don't end up in another snowbank, I'll see it through to the end. Yes, sir.
Sergeant Preston carefully outlined his plan to Casper. Then, moments later, the little man entered his cabin.
Hey, what the... Beulah, I'm home.
Hey, look, it's a run himself.
Gosh, old fishhooks. I didn't expect to find you bank robbers here at my cabin.
Hey, Buck, he must have recognized us in spite of the band.
Oh, what of it? How'd you get here? Mr. Nothing could keep me from coming back home to look after my wife. Even if I had to fight a blizzard on foot to do it. What? Beulah.
Never mind answering her. What I want to know is... Any hombre who'd hook up with a big female like that is crazy enough to do anything, Buck. The shrimp probably did come through the storm on foot at that.
To put a bullet in him. Now, mister, no use waving that gun around. A little fella like me couldn't do you any harm.
He's right, Buck. Put up the gun. What harm can that sawed-off run do? All right.
You tie him up and put him back there with her. I don't reckon I like that very much, but it's better than being dumped in a snowbank. Like you already did to me twice, mister. I thought of that when I passed the snowbank about 50 feet from the cabin. It must be 9 to 10 feet deep. Of course, you couldn't dunk me in that without having to carry me there first, so I'm not worried.
Oh, you're not, huh?
Nope. Well, I reckon if you're going to tie me up, you might as well...
Now, wait a minute.
You know, Red, this short rib is acting so calm-like, I figure maybe he'd act different after he'd crawled out of a 10-foot snowbank. No, wait a minute, mister. Not that. No.
Losing nerve already, huh? Open the door, Red. I'm going to give this little guy one more dunking. And this time it'll be in snow that's plenty deep.
Go ahead, Buck. I'll wait here. You bring him back.
Come here, you.
Let me go. Put me down.
I'll put you down, all right. Close that door, Red. I'll be right back.
You're right, Buck.
There's that snowbank.
Suddenly, the figure of Sergeant Preston stepped behind Buck from his hiding place behind a snowdrift.
Hold it. Hey, down. Holding a gun in your back.
Hey, listen,
Keep quiet.
It worked, Sergeant. I teased him into bringing me out here for a dunking.
There, Casper. Tie his hands behind his back with this piece of rawhide. Quiet, boy, quiet.
All right, what's your
I
name?
got his hands almost tied. That's tight. There.
Good. Now, you get over there beside the cabin. Go on, walk. Meantime, I'll take your gun. All right, this is close enough. Call your friend.
I won't do it.
I said call him out here.
My arm. I'll call him.
Go ahead, then.
Red. Hey, Red, come on out here.
Inside the cabin, Red heard Buck call. As he started toward the door, he glanced out the window and caught sight of Preston standing with a gun at Buck's back. Red turned and hurriedly went out the back way, and with gun in hand, crept along the side of the cabin. Sergeant Preston, Casper, and Buck were watching the front door. Buck was saying,
Guess you didn't hear me.
Call again.
Hey, Red, come here.
All right, Marty, I got you covered. Drop that gun. Drop it, I say.
Hey, Trippz. He's at the corner of the cabin behind you. Now, you better do like he said.
For a moment, Preston stood holding the gun. Then, realizing that Red could shoot before he could turn, Buck spoke.
All right. There's my gun.
Now, Buck, cut that gun off his lanyard.
Sure. Uh-oh, this is bad.
Darn right it is, Short-Chuck. I'm going to put a bullet in this Mounty's back first, and then we'll settle with you.
As Red stood close behind him with a gun ready to shoot, Sergeant Preston realized death was near. He knew he had only seconds in which to act, and thoughts raced through his mind
Where
like
the
lightning.
hell is this
He recalled
dog?
the trick learned during his police training that was planned for such a spot as this. It was a chance, and he took it. With a sudden swing of his body, the elbow of his raised right arm struck Red's gut arm, and then Preston's left fist met Red's chin in a smashing blow. As Red went down, the gun flew from his hand, landing a short distance away. Sergeant Preston jumped Red and grappled with him.
I'll let you get up.
I'll still fix you. No, no. As the two men got to their feet and fought desperately, Buck, whose hands had been tied by Casper, made a superhuman effort to loosen them. Finally, the knot loosened and his hands came free. He lunged at Casper. No! The big man lunged. Casper, by chance, landed a solid blow on Buck's chin. No! Buck went down.
Holy smoke, how'd I ever come to do that? If I didn't know my own strength.
For a moment, Casper stood looking at Buck in amazement, until a shot from Preston brought him to.
Casper, got the gun I dropped?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Use it to cover Buck.
I got it.
Picking up the gun, Casper stood over Buck, keeping him covered as Sergeant Preston fought with Red.
I'll get you, Murray.
No, you don't.
During the commotion, the great dog King raced to the scene, ready to help. The intelligent dog stood and watched, waiting for a signal from Preston to enter the fray. But King could see that Preston was gaining the upper hand and had control of the situation. He watched, growling.
This will settle you.
I had enough. Wait, no more.
Get up.
I had enough.
Get over there, be a friend.
Make us run. Let me get up with you.
All right, let him up, Casper. We'll keep them covered. Hey, King. Watch him, fella. All right, you two, we'll all go inside now. Get going.
A few moments later, the group stood inside the cabin. Preston quickly searched both the men and found part of the bank money. The balance he found in their parkas.
This money proves your guilt.
You can't prove it. Shut up. I heard you admit you held up the bank. I bet Bueller heard it, too. You were talking plenty loud.
Oh, by the way, Casper, take Buck in the other room with a gun at his back and make him untie Bueller. I'll be there, and so will King, so we can't pull anything. Go ahead, Casper.
Get going. Into the back room.
Casper! Oh, Casper, it's you.
Sure. What'd you expect, Bueller? Now, you untie my wife and be quick about it before I let go with a bullet. If it wasn't for that. Shut up and get busy, or I lose my temper. Now, the cord on her ankles. Go on. Yeah, hey, that might go off. Yep, it might at that. There.
Oh, Casper, you act so masterful, and I heard what you said out there about coming to take care of me.
Uh-huh. Of course, it ain't nothing to snivel about, Bueller. I did have a bounty follow me here, just in case. Now, let's get to the other room. Sergeant, this here is my wife, Bueller.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Smart. The things Casper has said about you, I've been looking forward to meeting you.
Oh, Sergeant, here Casper goes around saying nice things about me, and all the time Well, from now on, Casper, things will be different. Just to think you can look after me.
Oh, stop that chatter. This little
He
pet.
tricked you, Acton, by getting you to take him outside where I was waiting. I suggest you keep your mouth shut from now on.
I sure appreciate your help, Sergeant.
King and I appreciate yours, Casper. I know that you and your wife will be very happy from now on.
Oh, of course we'll be happy, won't we, Casper?
I reckon even King could tell you what my answer is to that, Bueller. Couldn't you, fella?
King and I'll take these trucks back to Selkirk now. Won't be long before we can say this case is closed.
In just a moment, Sergeant Preston will give you a preview of Wednesday's adventure. Hurry, climb aboard, fellas and girls. Anchors away for the best tasting breakfast cereal on the high seas or the dry land. Yes, the cereal shot from guns. The one and only Quaker Puffed Rice and Quaker Puffed Wheat. When you pour out a heaping bowl full, topped with milk or cream and fruit, your mouth just waters for a taste. And every bite of those crisp, king-size kernels, every taste of that tantalizing nut-like flavor makes you want more and more. Be sure to
racist bastards killed off Aunt Jemima.
Delicious, nourishing Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice are on your breakfast table tomorrow morning. Remember, they're never sold in bags or bulk. And say, fellas and girls, there's a thrilling surprise coming soon on this program.
Let's start going through grocery
Be sure
stores.
to
Tell
keep
them
listening.
that I work
Listen
for Harpo
Wednesday,
Industries.
when Sergeant Preston and
I'm
Yukon
looking.
King
I have
meet the
to. I
challenge of the
must
Yukon
come back
in
with
the
Aunt
case
Jemima.
of circumstantial
Whatever.
evidence. Bill Andrews was convicted of murder on
Syrup or
circumstantial
whatever the
evidence
fuck
and
they
sent to
make.
jail for life.
Waffles.
Soon after he escaped, there was another killing, and again all evidence pointed to Bill. I knew he had been nowhere near the scene of the crime, but I couldn't prove it. I set a trap, hoping to catch the guilty man, but I didn't suspect that there were 3 killers. Things moved fast when the trap was closed. Be sure to hear this exciting adventure Wednesday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Enterprises, directed by Fred Flowerday, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time by Quaker Puff Wheat and Quaker Puff Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns. Your best bet for hot breakfast is Quaker Oats. The giant of the cereals is Quaker Oats. Delicious, nutritious, makes you feel ambitious. The giant of the cereal is Quaker Oats. Yes, if you want to be a star in sports and school activities, make your hot cereal Quaker Oats, because Quaker Oats helps grow the stars of the future. You get more growth, more endurance from oatmeal than from any other whole grain cereal. Remember, Quaker and Mother's Oats are the same.
What about compared to real food?
This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health from Quaker Puff Wheat and Quaker Puff Rice. So long.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay, and Palmolive Shave Creams for a smoother, more comfortable way to shave, bring you Our Miss Brooks, transcribed and starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, under the direction of Al Lewis.
In different communities that are opposed to, ethnic communities getting ahead or making positive steps. In my own view, and I've been doing conspiratorial, and there's an interest in keeping African Americans down, keeping the police in charge of them, and making sure that their issues do not leak over and branch out into other segments of the community. And then there are people in the community, various communities, and I would almost refer to them euphemistically as the Trump people. They're not interested in improving the relationship between the police and the communities, African American communities, at all. So it's a bigger problem. That's when I say winning the war. The war is not won when you have those kind of systemic issues and segments that exist within the communities at large.
John, stay with us because I want to bring in our second guest, Micol Jordan McBride. Micol is an advocacy director at the Policing Project in Chicago, which is a non-profit organization that works across a number of issues, including the use of force.
My feel the pop, my 9mm gonna make you drop. I talk about my 9 cause the shit.
Yeah. Vous la gazelle, Concon Ange, il est destiné pour le monde, quoi. C'est qu'on s'arrive, va le faire.
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you going through when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? Pop, pop when you hear the Glock. Tough down, nigga, cause I'm in the spot. Give it up, nigga, you might get shot. I'm the hot shot. so you gonna get shot. Any nigga out here might feel the pop. My 9mm gonna make you drop. I talk about my 9 cause the shit's so hot. When shit goes down, he's ready to pop. He's stressed out, and I'm trigger happy. I gotta take the life, and it feels so nasty. Believe me, this shit ain't easy. I'm a nigga with attitude, so fuck you pussy. When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you going through when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? What you going through when them bullets fly by? Rough like a goose or snitch to the cops. Me, I cock back, let it go for the power. Bullets fly by like a breeze in the summer. Cold dog set, FDLCTE, RIP, and KSP, HOTSHOT. IGSME, yeah, it's me. I let my bullets fly by, shooting at you niggas like kites in the sky. Blue beams, I'm killing this rap shit. So what you gonna do when my bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
Yo, Kaka.
Everyday niggas talking shit like they tough in this motherfucking street, but they not, nigga. When the bullets fly by, the niggas tough like bitches. It's your boy, you know, HOTSHOT.
Yeah, you want this pineapple for kissing. Limelight by the musical, the Canadian power rock trio Rush.
Fuck you niggas. When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you going to?
Yeah. You like your gazelle.
What up, the Cali Geek? Johnny Metaposa. My FCF motherfuckers. My TAFTs. Taking your dope. What? Coming up the vote.
Pardon me, Mr. Boynton, but I've got a free period right now, and as I recall, so have you.
That's right, Miss Brooks. Is there anything I can do for you?
I'd love to. That is, the real reason I dropped in here was to get away from my own classroom for a while. Sometimes I wonder if all this effort is worth anything. If I couldn't expend all this time and energy in another direction, say, making a pleasant home for some man, the way any normal woman does.
Well, you're certainly normal, Miss Brooks. Your muscular structure's good. You have a well-shaped skull. Good sound bones. And judging from your complexion, I should say your systolic circulatory system is A1.
You romantic fool, you. I wish I felt as well as your description, though. I've got a little headache from all the paperwork I've been doing.
A headache? Would you like me to massage your temples a bit?
That's the quickest you've ever caught on. Please do, Mr. Boynton.
All right. How does this feel?
Just wonderful, Mr. Boynton.
Anybody in here?
Nobody but us guinea pigs.
Well, it's Miss Enright. Miss Brooks has a little headache. I'm just massaging her temples.
Oh, how humane of you.
There you go with your jokes, Miss Enright. You're just loads of fun. Don't you think so, Miss Brooks?
She's the biggest load I've ever seen.
Well, Miss Brooks, I didn't expect to find you here. I just dropped in because I'm worn out from my morning classes. Sometimes I just don't know where I get the fuel to keep running.
If you didn't race your engine so much, your tank wouldn't get so low.
That's a good one, too. You girls have a lot of fun with each other, don't you?
Yes, we do enjoy our little fencing matches. When we're not too tuckered out from our work, that is. Oh, that English class of mine.
Well, now, I must say, I don't know what's come over you women of today. You just don't seem to have the vitality and drive of our forebears. Now, take my Aunt Mattie, for example. She taught English, but she also taught mathematics, history, science, and Latin.
5 subjects?
Certainly. And then she'd go home and keep house for her husband and 9 children.
9 children? What did she teach, night school?
You can jest if you want to, but if I found a woman like my Aunt Mattie, a woman who held the secret to diversified interests, I'd marry her tomorrow.
If you'll excuse me now, I've got 1,000,000 papers to correct.
I'd better be running along, too. I've got to empty several wastebaskets.
But ladies,
Goodbye, Mr. Boynton.
See you later, nephew.
What is it you wanted to see me about, Miss Brooks?
It's my work here at school, Mr. Conklin. I was wondering if you could give me another subject or two to teach.
Miss Brooks, have you been sniffing too much eraser dust?
No, sir. It's just that I'd like to diversify my interests. Another class would be a labor of love.
Pardon me, Mr. Conklin.
Hello, Miss Enright.
Oh, Miss Brooks. What happened to those millions of papers you had to mark?
I threw them in those wastebaskets you had to empty.
I'm rather busy this morning, Miss Enright. What's on your mind?
Well, Mr. Conklin, I've been thinking about my schedule here, and I've come to the conclusion that I could take on another subject.
You too? But not 2 hours ago, you both complained about how rigorous your duties were.
That was BAM, Mr. Conklin, before Aunt Mattie. You might consider it strange, sir, but
On the contrary, and it's an extremely fortuitous coincidence. I was planning to institute a course in business administration at Madison. My big problem, however, has been instructors. There are none available in this area.
There are now. There is now. I'll take a shot at it. Yes, sir. You bet. Sure thing.
Not so fast, darling. Mr. Conklin, if you're interested in a business administration course, I'd like to point out that I've got a terrific background.
That you don't have to point out. Maybe you ought to sell your bicycle.
Please, Miss Brooks, please. Tell me about your experience, Miss Enright.
Well, before I came to Madison High as an English teacher, I assisted Papa in his business. Papa was the head of a big collection agency at the time.
I assisted my papa, too, Miss Enright.
What did he do?
He spent most of his time hiding from your papa. Please, Mr. Conklin, I'll admit I'm not overly familiar with the principles of business administration, but I'll study it thoroughly in the next few days.
Miss Brooks, business administration is a 3-year course. How do you propose to learn it in a few short days?
I'll only take a half hour for lunch.
I'm afraid you have none of the qualifications for this position, Miss Brooks. Once again, it looks like Miss Enright has the inside track.
Well, all I can say is don't bet too much on her nose. It might still be a photo finish.
Colgate Dental Cream, it cleans your breath.
Water toothpaste.
While it cleans your teeth.
Colgate toothpaste.
Cleans your breath.
Water toothpaste.
While it cleans your teeth.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. And the Colgate way stops tooth decay best. Yes, the Colgate way is the most thoroughly proved and accepted home method of oral hygiene known today. Over 2 years' research showed brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate dental cream helped stop more decay for more people than ever before reported in dentifrice history. The Colgate way stopped tooth decay best. No other dentifrice, ammoniated or not, offers such conclusive proof. And you should know that Colgate, while not mentioned by name, was the only toothpaste used in the research on tooth decay recently reported in Reader's Digest. So always follow the Colgate way to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and stop tooth decay best.
Brush your teeth with Colgate. Colgate dental cream, it cleans your breath.
Want a toothpaste?
Why, it cleans your teeth.
And the Colgate way stops tooth decay best.
Well, Mr. Conklin seemed convinced that I didn't know a thing about business administration, and it looked like he was right. I had just about given up on the biggest deal of my life, 200 pounds of prime biology teacher. When lunch period came, I must have looked pretty down in the mouth as I entered the school cafeteria.
Get it up, Miss Brooks. Your chin is sweeping the floor.
Oh, hello, Walter. I do feel a bit grim today.
Well, suppose you sit down over here and tell our favorite pupil all about it. And that is, unless you're waiting for Mr. Boynton.
No, he had to go down to the biology supply house. They're having a sale on used guinea pigs or something.
That shouldn't make you this depressed. Gosh, you look like you're just about to bawl. What's the cause of it?
Well, I spent about 10 minutes in Mr. Conklin's office this morning.
Say no more. Here's my hanky. Mr. Conklin's the best cure I know for anybody who's got a slight case of cheerfulness.
Not so loud, Walter. His daughter is about to join us.
Hello, Miss Brooks. Walter.
Oh, Harriet. We were just chatting about your daddy.
Yeah, why isn't he in the cafeteria today?
I brought a sandwich to his office. He's calling the various oil companies to see if he can't beat the price raise. It seems fuel oil for our furnace at home has gone up 3 cents a gallon. Daddy has a big problem with oil every winter.
We have a big problem with Daddy every winter. We don't know anything about this, Harriet, but I've been hoping your father would appoint me as instructor in business administration.
He did mention something about the course, Miss Brooks, but he hasn't said who's going to teach it, so you might as well keep hoping. I'm going to get myself some dessert. Can I bring you something, Miss Brooks?
No, thanks, dear. I'm pretty full. I've been biting my lips all morning.
Miss Brooks, things could always be worse. See you later, Walter.
Okay, Pigeon. Now then, Miss Brooks, give me your undivided attention.
You've got it, Walter.
While you and Harriet were yakking it up, I was thinking, if Mr. Conklin could get the oil he wants for his furnace not only 3 cents cheaper, but 9 cents below the current price, and if this transaction was put over by you, he'd consider that you had a pretty good business head on your shoulders.
Well, I guess he would.
Instead of thinking what he thinks now, that it's just a bunch of pretty auburn hair clinging to a vacant bulb.
Now, just a minute, Walter.
Please, I'm not finished. It so happens that my dad has a good pal in the Ajax Oil Company, and we get all our fuel wholesale. Now, there's no reason why I can't get some for you to give to Mr. Conklin, thus helping you wrap up the job you want.
Walter, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize here and now for everything I've ever thought about you. This is a great idea.
Thank you. We'll get the oil to Mr. Conklin's home right after school. But there's one question I'd like to ask you, Miss Brooks. Why are you so anxious to take on the added duties of another course?
I can answer that in 2 simple words, Walter. Philip Boynton.
I'm glad you got home from school early today, Daddy. But why did we come down here to the basement?
I wanted to show you our new furnace, Harriet. It was installed just 10 minutes ago.
But what's this pink ribbon tied on it for? And what's this card on top of it?
It's a little surprise for your mother. Read the card, Harriet.
Let's see. It says, "To my loving wife, Martha. Happy Lincoln's birthday, darling, from your Osgood." You bought Mother a furnace for Lincoln's birthday?
Nothing's too good for your mother, Harriet. Besides, it's my way of making up for Christmas. I got the feeling that your mother was not too delighted with the gift she received from me at that time.
I can't understand it. It was a lovely case of club soda. Daddy, Mother was expecting a fur coat this winter.
Then she should be doubly pleased. A furnace is even warmer than a fur coat. Especially this brand new forced air furnace. It uses gas and a blower system, and all it requires is for me to flip open a vent and presto, any room I'm in is full of hot air.
No comment, Daddy.
Shh! Quiet with that oil drum, Walter. I don't want Mr. Conklin to know we're in his basement.
Well, I still don't see why we didn't just roll the drum up to his front door.
Because I want to surprise him. We'll pour the oil right into the furnace. Then, when he can't understand how he's getting heat without having bought any oil, I'll flash this bill from the Ajax company showing that I've beaten the current price by 9 cents.
I get it. And then when Mr. Conklin reacts according to plan, he'll put you in charge of the business administration course. Mr. Boynton will admire your energy and diversified talents. And before you know it, you'll be married and have 9 children like his Aunt Mattie.
Walter, have you been drinking this oil?
Miss Enright, your coming to my home on your own time to discuss our new business administration course has made quite an impression on me.
Thank you, Mr. Conklin. But I've always been a firm believer in the old adage, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today.
My sentiments exactly. Now, if you'll just give me your coat, we'll sit down in the living room and chat for a while.
Oh, I think I'll keep my coat on, Mr. Conklin. I feel a bit chilly.
Oh, as you wish. Mrs. Conklin is out shopping at the moment, but when she comes back, she'll fix a bit of tea for us. I can't wait to see her face when she discovers her gift.
Oh, what did you buy for Mrs. Conklin?
In honor of Lincoln's birthday, I bought her a brand new furnace. I haven't used it as yet, but I think I'll turn it on right now. Excuse me, Miss Enright. I'll see who's at the door. Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir. I came by to discuss that new teaching job.
But I've just about decided on Miss Enright for that position, Miss Brooks.
Please, sir, what I have to tell you may change that decision. I'll just take a few moments of your time.
Very well, then. Come in. Now, please be brief, Miss Brooks. Miss Enright and I have many matters to discuss.
Yes, sir. Oh, hello, Miss Enright.
Hello, Miss Brooks. Did you come by to show me what a good loser you are?
I'll deal with you when you slither into school tomorrow. Right now, I've got some business with Mr. Conklin. You see, sir, I've always been a firm believer in the old adage, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today.
A salty cliche, if I ever heard one. Please come to the point.
Yes, sir. Mr. Conklin, what would you say if I told you that I was going to put $8.95 into your pocket this minute?
I'd say sit down, Miss Brooks.
Mr. Conklin, I'm going to put $8.95 into your pocket this minute.
Sit down, Miss Brooks.
Thank you. Now, in this transaction...
Pardon me, but isn't it awfully chilly in here?
For once, we're on the same side. It might be a very jolly thought to turn on your furnace, Mr. Conklin, and burn some nice, cheap oil.
I don't have any oil in my furnace. However, if you ladies are cold, I'd be happy to...
Excuse me, Daddy, but I've got to talk to Miss Brooks privately right away. Will you kindly step out into the hall with me, Miss Brooks?
Harriet, you know my house rules about disturbing adult conversations?
It's terribly personal, Daddy, and it'll just take a second.
Sounds important, Harriet. I'll be right back, Mr. Conklin. Meanwhile, I'm sure Miss Enright can regale you with some brilliant yakety-yak.
It's happened, Miss Brooks. Daddy's done the worst possible thing that could happen.
He signed on for another year at Madison High?
No, he bought Mother a furnace for a Lincoln's birthday gift.
He must have gotten his rebate on the club soda bottles.
You don't understand. I just saw Walter Denton in the basement. He was washing his hands in the sink down there.
Sounds like a reasonable place.
He told me you put oil in the furnace.
That's right, to surprise your father.
You'll surprise him, all right. He bought a gas-operated forced air furnace.
What? Oh, this is terrible. We've got to work fast, Harriet. You run down to the basement and tell Walter to get some tubing and siphon that oil out of the furnace at once.
Okay, Miss Brooks. And you go on in and keep Daddy's mind occupied so he doesn't turn it on until I come back with the all clear.
All right, Harriet. Now, for heaven's sakes, hurry.
I'm dashing this minute. Good luck, Miss Brooks.
I'll need it.
Well, Miss Brooks, has my daughter concluded her personal business with you?
Yes, sir. It was nothing, really.
Now then, about this business transaction of yours.
Boy, it's sure hot in here. Hot? I'm terribly warm.
Do your lips always turn blue when you're warm? I'm still shivering, Mr. Conklin.
Well, I've got high blood pressure, so I'm usually warmer than the average person, but I'll turn the heat up if you want me to, Miss Enright.
No! I mean, why turn on the heat? Too much heat isn't healthy.
Bless you, darling.
I must have sat in a hot draft. Now, about the $8.95 I saved you, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, excuse me one moment. I'm going to see if my new thermostat is accurate. I want everything to be just right when Mrs. Conklin comes home. First, I'll open the large vent in this wall. Now we'll just set this thermostat for 76 degrees. That should get the furnace going rather quickly.
Oh, it can't warm up quickly enough for me.
It can for me. Excuse me, Mr. Conklin.
Where are you going, Miss Brooks?
Into the coat closet. I have a roll of film that needs developing.
Oh, stop that idiotic jabber and let's get down to cases now.
Perhaps we should set the thermostat up to 80 or so, then the furnace will really get going. Here, I'll do it.
But Miss Enright,
It's all right, Miss Brooks. I want to see how the new furnace reacts. Here, I'll turn it up to 85 degrees. Yeah, now it's starting. Listen to the lovely sound of that nice hot air scurrying up the pipe.
There's oil! Blood! Dirty oil all over my furniture and rug! Here, I'll turn it up.
Oh. Oh, my suit.
Oh, my dress!
Oh, my neck.
What happened to my brand new furnace? This entire room is full of oil! What do we do?
Well, we could toss a giant salad. But I guess the only practical suggestion is to clean up.
So must have gone wrong when I... Holy cow! What are you people doing in here? Rehearsing for a minstrel show?
You guessed it, Walter. And I don't know about anybody else, but if the interlocutor will excuse me, I, for one, am going to pick up my tambourine and beat it.
Returns in just a moment. But first, men, does your face do a slow burn every time you shave? Then it's time you heard the good news about smoother, more comfortable shaves, the Palmolive Shaving Cream way. That's right, smoother, more comfortable shaves. And men, only Palmolive, no other shaving cream, offers you real proof, not just promises, of smoother, more comfortable shaves. For the new Palmolive Shaving Cream way gets beards really soft, and it provides a protective film that actually floats your razor's cutting edge. Yes, even in cold or hard water, you get a clean, close shave every time. Super smooth, super comfortable. Over 2,500 men tested Palmolive shaving creams thoroughly. They followed the simple directions on the tube, and no matter how they shaved before, 3 out of 4 reported beards easier to cut, less razor pull, more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Get Palmolive Shaving Cream, lather or brushless. See if you don't get that super smooth, super comfortable, free and easy shave you've always wanted. You owe it to your face to try Palmolive lather or brushless. Remember, only Palmolive, no other shaving cream, offers you proof of smoother, more comfortable shave. And now Now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, Walter Denton was just about to spill the beans to Mr. Conklin about my part in the great oil scandal, when luckily I managed to catch his eye. And through some magical current that seemed to flow between us, his lips were suddenly sealed. Then I took my knuckles out of his mouth, and we cleaned up. After that, Walter took me home, and when we got to the door, he said,
"Gosh, Miss Brooks, do you think you may still get a crack at that business administration course?"
"I don't know about the business administration, Walter, but if he finds out about today, it's a cinch we'll both get the business."
This is Vern Fraser reminding you to tune in next week to another Our Miss Brooks show, brought to you by Palmolive Shave Creams for a smoother, more comfortable way to shave, and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written by Al Lewis, with the music of Wilbur Hatch.
Ladies, now with new improved Vel DEL, you can save 90% of dishwashing work.
Just soak dishes in Vel suds a while. Dishes and glassware will soak sparkling clean. No washing, no wiping, no scouring with Vel. Only the stickiest dishes need just a touch of a cloth. Rinse, and they'll gleam without wiping.
Soak pots and pans in Vel suds, too. And most of them will get shiny clean without scouring.
What's more, Vel is extra mild to hands. So get new Vel. Save 90% of dishwashing work.
Be sure to listen to Mr. and Mrs. North every Tuesday night on this same station, and be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This program was transcribed. Stay tuned now for Jack Benny.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
Now, as gunshots echo across the wind-swept, snow-covered reaches of the wild Northwest, Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice, the breakfast cereal shop from Guns, present Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers. On King, on you husky! Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush. With Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice, bringing you the adventures of Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog, Yukon King, as they meet the challenge of the Yukon. There's no one that can make a better cereal than Quaker puffed rice. It's nice. And when you hear that shooting, you're darn tootin' that Quaker makes the one shot from Guns. Yes, both Quaker puffed rice and Quaker puffed wheat are shot from Guns, exploded up to 8 times normal size. That's why these choice, flavor-rich premium grains are so crisp and tender. They're shot through and through with swell nut-like flavor, too. Just pour out a bowlful, top with fruit and milk or cream, and yummy, you're back for more. For a deluxe treat, eat delicious Quaker puffed rice and Quaker puffed wheat. George Acton entered the 2-room cabin on the edge of Selkirk, in which he lived with his wife Anna and their 8-year-old daughter Gloria. Anna and Gloria came from the other room as George sank wearily into a chair and rested his head in his hands.
What's the use of all this?
George, you mustn't get discouraged.
Anna, we might as well face it. This claim is no good. I'm so worn down trying to find gold that I can't think straight to carry on my experiments.
Golly, Daddy, why do you have to work so hard?
You wouldn't understand, Gloriani.
Oh, but you worked at claim all day, and then at nighttime you fool with all those bottles and things.
Well, your daddy will be known as a great chemist someday, Gloria. He's working on a formula now that may save a great many lives sometime.
Golly.
No, Anna, it's no use fooling ourselves. I should have listened to Granddad when he wanted me to go into his business and give up the idea of being a creative chemist.
Oh, but it's your whole life, George. You worked hard to finish your studies, even though your grandfather did turn against you and refused to help.
Sure, look at me now. I talked you into coming to this territory in hopes I'd find enough gold to go on with my experiments. Instead, we've used up the little money we had. And the serum I sent back to the laboratories in Seattle must have been a failure. I've had no word from them in 4 months.
George, you must keep on.
But we have to live. This claim is no good. In spite of his wealth, Granddad refuses to help me. Wait. Anna, there may be just one way.
What are you thinking of, dear?
I heard a couple of old prospectors talking in town about a location far in the backcountry where plenty of gold has been found. It's away from everything, almost inaccessible in the winter. But if you were willing, There's still time for us to get there before the really heavy storm starts.
Oh, of course I'm willing. We'll take enough supplies to see us through, George.
Good. I'll pack up my laboratory material and leave it right here in this cabin. I'm not going to carry out any more experiments till I have cash to keep at it. Anna, we'll leave here tomorrow morning.
A month after the Actons had left, winter closed in on the Yukon. One morning at Mountain Police Headquarters, Sergeant Preston entered the inspector's office.
Sergeant Preston reporting for duty, Inspector.
Good morning, Sergeant. I have a very important and rather risky assignment for you.
Very well, sir. What is it?
Do you know of a young chemist named George Acton?
George Acton? Why, yes, sir. He has a cabin at Selkirk. I've stopped at his cabin many times. He has a wife and a small daughter.
He was living in Selkirk, Sergeant. It seems he disappeared from there with his wife and daughter about a month ago. The constable there doesn't know his present whereabouts.
I see.
Sergeant, George Acton must be found as soon as possible.
Well, what's he done, sir?
He hasn't committed a crime, if that's what you mean. Acton created a formula using a serum and sent a sample to laboratories in Seattle. That serum saved the lives of a number of people suffering from diphtheria.
I see.
An epidemic has broken out near Seattle. The authorities there are frantically trying to reach Acton to get his formula so that they can make more serum. Acton can't be found.
If this serum saves lives, as you say, sir, Acton will be famous.
Yes, and furthermore, there's a notification here saying that Acton's grandfather passed away, leaving him a large fortune. Of course, the main thing is to find him and to get that formula so that it can be sent by telegraph to Seattle as soon as possible. Time is short, Sergeant, and lives are at stake. You must find George Acton.
Sergeant Preston and his great dog, Yukon King, hurriedly made the trip to Selkirk and began inquiries about George Acton, but without result. Finally, he went to the cafe.
Listen a moment, everybody. I'm looking for George Acton. Many of you know him. I must find out where he is. Anyone know? He hasn't committed a crime. In fact, he's needed to save lives. As a chemist, he's made a serum and
Hey, I remember that young fellow now.
Oh?
Some of the boys were joshing him about fooling with drugs and such. It's 5 or 6 weeks ago.
You know where he is?
Not exactly, Sergeant. He did come to me and ask me concerning some talking I did about there being plenty of gold in the back country near Elk Valley. Said he was going there. I told him he'd be foolish to stay there during the winter and all, but...
Thanks for the information,
Now, hold on, Sergeant. You weren't thinking of trying to get through the Elk Valley now. You'll never make it.
Why, I must get there to find Acton.
Yeah, but the country's wild and unsettled. The only trail crosses a mountain. With the heavy snows we have lately, there's dangerous snowslides.
I'll have to risk it, Jim.
And there are wolves, too, mean and hungry, roaming that wild country. Acton left here before the snows piled up.
I'm used to bad weather. I'll leave for Elk Valley this afternoon. See you when I get back. Come on, King.
Sergeant Preston requisitioned supplies, then started on the trail that led into the back country.
On King! On your
The trail was little used, and King had to break the way for the other dogs to follow. As night fell, a fine, hard snow began to fall, which, carried by the wind, stung Preston's face like fine needles. But he pushed on at a fast pace. With only a couple of short stops for rest and food, Sergeant Preston and King put many miles behind them during the long, cold night. By afternoon of the following day, Preston, though weary from fighting the storm, still pressed on through bleak, wind-swept country. The snowfall had stopped, but snowdrifts covered with a shiny, hard crust made traveling difficult and slowed the Mounties' progress. He stopped to rest the dogs, and then stood gazing over the sinister landscape ahead of him.
We've reached the foot of the mountain the old sourdough spoke of. I see what he means when he spoke of it being risky.
Sergeant Preston scanned the mountain before him. The obvious trail zigzagged up the side of the range, and he noticed with misgivings that there were many overhanging snow-laden cliffs under which the trail passed. Elk Valley was just beyond the mountain, and he felt that if he could maneuver his dogs and sled over the range, the worst would be behind him. Once more, he gave the word to start.
Up front, boy. All right, on King! On you
Led by the valiant husky King, the other dogs strained at the tug lines as they moved slowly up the mountain trail. Death, disguised by white, sparkling, encrusted billows of snow, waited to drop tons of crushing masses upon the courageous traveler and his dogs as they struggled to surmount the treacherous range. Preston literally held his breath as he and the dogs passed under one overhanging cliff after another, and he strained his ears to hear the first warning crack and rumble that would indicate the beginning of a snowslide. The struggling dog team rounded a bend and started up the final steep grade toward the top. Slowly, the sled moved forward and upward. Suddenly, as they neared a ledge that partly overhung the trail, Preston heard the dreaded warning.
Snowslide! Taking under the ledge, that's our only chance!
Fighting for his very life and that of his dogs, Preston directed the team toward the cleared space under the ledge.
On ping! Pull! Pull, you fight!
Pushing and straining every muscle, the Mountie forced the sled and dogs toward the space under the ledge. Just as they reached it, the world seemed to fall about them.
Looking!
Preston had cowered back against the mountainside with the dogs around him as the tremendous masses of snow and ice fell at express speed over the ledge in front of them. Finally, it was over, and Preston found they were enclosed by walls of snow, with the ledge as a roof above them.
Well, that's safe for the moment. We'll have to dig out before we suffocate. I hope that wall of snow and ice isn't too thick to dig through. I'll have to get to work and fast.
With a shovel he carried on his sled, Sergeant Preston began to dig methodically. He realized that panic would be fatal, and so would overexertion, since he'd breathe faster and use more of the precious air in their small space. Furthermore, he had to avoid perspiration, which the icy wind would soon cause to freeze once he did dig through to the open.
That's it, King. Help me dig out. We'll make it, boy. They must get out, and soon.
It wasn't long before Preston was gasping for each breath, but he continued to dig until finally...
There! My shovel broke through. We'll have air now, King. For a while, I thought we were finished, boy.
After digging an opening large enough to drive the sled through, Sergeant Preston once more started up the mountain trail. He went over